A lot has been said about the subject of today's video in the past, and despite what's been said being mostly positive, the events that took place during his career are quite confusing when placed next to one another. There are very few players who've been forced out of a club despite being very arguably the best player in their position in the world. Adding on to that, there are also very few players that have won back-to-back trebles for two different clubs while playing in two different major European leagues. Actually, as a matter of fact, there is only one: Samuel Eto'o. Quite possibly Africa's greatest ever footballing export. It's really hard to argue that claim, you know. A man who reached insane heights for both club and country, and did so in style. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we need to ask a few important questions. Namely, how did Samuel Eto'o get into the positions that he did? What did he do when he got there? Was he treated as well as he should have been? And most importantly, how good was he really? Yo, what's up guys? Trust you're all doing well. Today we'll be covering a bona fide legend. But you know who else is a legend? You. I just saw you hit that like button. I appreciate that, bro. Keep it up. Anyway, let's jump right in. Like many top-tier footballers, Samuel Eto'o's story started from humble beginnings. A born and bred Cameroon native, he grew up with an innate love and passion for the game. From roughly 11 years of age, he played for the Kaji Sports Academy in Douala, Cameroon. Every day, every night, he could be seen playing football and immersing himself in all that the game had to offer. However, his parents weren't too keen on their son pursuing this beyond his childhood years. In Eto'o's own words, "I lived and breathed football, but my parents were very hard on me. They did not accept that I played football because to them, football was something children played if they didn't go to school." And of course, Eto'o was attending school, so you can only imagine the frustration from his parents' side. As a matter of fact, in order to play football, he often had to sneak out the house. Although things didn't go quite according to plan when on one fateful day, his father was having a beer with his mates at a bar right next to the field that he played on. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this. But his sneaking around didn't actually backfire in his face like you may think. You see, his parents had never actually seen him play before. As soon as his father saw him play, young Samuel Eto'o would never have to sneak around again. His parents instantly knew that he was the real deal. At this point, Eto'o was only 14 years old. Only 2 years later, and he was off to Europe to join the Real Madrid Youth Academy. So let's take a second to talk about just how good he actually was. Standing just shy of 6 foot, Eto'o was a slim, fast, agile attacker. Mostly used as a striker, but realistically capable of playing all across the front line. His interplay with the team, ability to use both feet, work rate, unpredictable movement and finishing were all insanely prevalent throughout his entire career. Despite this, life in the Spanish capital was not all that it cracked up to be. Right off the bat, seeing as he was a minor, he could only train with Real Madrid Castilla, Real Madrid's B side. Shortly after his arrival, Real Madrid B were relegated to the 3rd division of Spanish football. At the time, non-EU players were not allowed to play in this league, and our man Eto'o was indeed a non-EU player. This was a problem. The solution? He was sent off on loan, first to Leganes in the 2nd division where, to be fair, he did gain some experience. 28 games and 3 goals is more than useful for a 16-year-old, even if not in the top division. He was then sent off to Espanyol where he only played once, and then finally to Mallorca where he finally got some much needed consistent game time. All in all, between the ages of 16 and 19, he only played 3 games for Real Madrid. Not much of a dream, right? By the time he was permanently shipped off to Mallorca in 2000, nobody was surprised. And let's just say Eto'o would not forget his time in the Spanish capital and how he was treated there. Remember that for later. Anyway, at this point, Eto'o was 19 years old and plying his trade at Mallorca. It was here that he truly put himself on the map. His £4.4 million transfer was essentially a bargain when you consider his contribution to the team and the numbers that he put up. To summarize, in his first season with Mallorca in 2000, he scored 6 goals in 13 appearances. However, fast forward 3 more years, and despite the fact that Mallorca finished in 9th place in 2003, Eto'o had already accomplished quite a ridiculous amount for a 22-year-old. First things first, for Mallorca, he scored 14 goals and made 2 assists in his 4th season with the club. In the same year, Mallorca won their first and only Copa del Rey trophy, with Eto'o scoring twice in the quarterfinals against his former club Real Madrid and twice in the final. To this day, this is the most prestigious trophy that Mallorca has collected in the club's history. And he wasn't just doing well on the field. Contrasting his time at Madrid, he was feeling the love from both the fans and the Mallorca upper management. In his own words, "I like it here in Mallorca. I have always been well looked after." And these weren't just words. The Copa del Rey final that Mallorca won was naturally played at a neutral venue, meaning that fans had to travel. To look after his own and show his appreciation, Eto'o donated 30,000 euros of his own money in meals for the traveling fans. Good lad. Adding on to that, from an international perspective, things were going pretty well too. That's a bit of an understatement. Things were going very well. In 2000 and 2002, Cameroon won back-to-back African Cup of Nations, with Eto'o making the team of the tournament in 2000 as a 19-year-old. He also won Olympic gold with Cameroon in 2000. As you can see, this guy was the definition of a generational talent. But we're not even halfway done with this story. Moving along, his 2003-04 season in Mallorca was his best yet. 17 goals in 32 appearances with 1 assist. I think you can guess what happened next. My man was on everybody's transfer list. That of course included his former club, Real Madrid. There was one catch though. Eto'o was not interested. Once, when speaking on his relationship with Real Madrid, Eto'o once said, "My story with Madrid is like that of a man who loves a woman who always turns her back on him. When he decides to leave, the woman starts chasing him." Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess. So, if you're one of the best players in Spain and a move to Real Madrid is not an option, where do you go? Oh, this is a hard one. I can't think of where you would go if you're not going to go to Madrid. Yeah, he went to Barca. Now officially a Blaugrana, having been bought for £20 million at the beginning of the 2004-05 season, Samuel Eto'o's career was about to get a bit mental. To give you a bit of context, at this particular moment in time, Barcelona had just been through a bit of a slump. Between 1999 and 2005, they won absolutely no silverware. Nothing. Not a thing. This was of course due to a myriad of internal issues, coaches failing to impress, upper management failing to manage, and a few legendary players departing the club. However, that was all about to change very quickly. One season before Eto'o arrived, Ronaldinho, Andres Iniesta and Victor Valdez were introduced to the first team, and in the 04-05 season, Lionel Messi, Deco, Henrik Larsson and Eto'o himself were added to the mix. I'm literally getting chills while writing this. Imagine being a La Liga defender and seeing this. RIP. So it should come as no surprise that Barcelona were back to their best, with Eto'o playing a starring role. Immediately upon his arrival, Barcelona won back-to-back La Liga trophies, with Eto'o scoring a combined total of 51 goals in 71 La Liga appearances across both seasons, enough to make him not only Barcelona's top scorer in those seasons, but also the back-to-back La Liga top scorer. An absolutely insane return. Madrid must have been kicking themselves. Adding on to that, in celebrating the first of these league wins, he was once seen chanting with the Barcelona fans, "Madrid, cabrón, saluda al campeón," which directly translates to "Madrid, bastards, salute the champions." Safe to say his former employers were not impressed. The end of this period culminated in Barcelona getting their hands on the big one once more, the Champions League, the second in Barcelona's collection. In a near-flawless CL run, Barca defeated Arsenal by 2-1 in the final. Barcelona were trailing at one point, but our man Eto'o scored a vital goal to level the game before Barca took the lead only 3 minutes later and saw the game out. So what do we have to show for Eto'o in this insane period? 2 African Player of the Year awards, a 3rd place finish in the 2005 FIFA Player of the Year rankings, the 2006 UEFA Forward of the Year award, and appearances in the UEFA Team of the Year in both seasons. To answer the title of this video, this man was pretty good, and he was only 25 years old at the end of the 05-06 season. The next couple of seasons saw a bit of a drop-off in Barcelona's trophy output. I mean, when you have the blistering success that they did, this is only natural while transitioning into the next period. Madrid retook the league title twice in a row, and Barca crashed out of the Champions League in the knockout stages, similarly twice in a row. But fear not, because yet again, they were building something. Although, if you were Eto'o, fear wasn't entirely out of the question. In 2008, in steps Pep Guardiola. Having been the Barcelona B manager in the seasons prior, he had paid close attention to how the situation for the first team was unraveling, and when he stepped in, he felt he knew what had to be done. Before he even began his first season in charge, he said this: "All of the players in the first team squad last season are of a very high level, but we are forming a squad, and Deco, Ronaldinho and Eto'o are not in our minds." Yeah, he actually said this. Justified or not, imagine if your boss came out in public and said this about you. It's kind of wild. Having said that, an argument could be made that he was justified in this statement. Regarding Eto'o, at least. During Barcelona's shaky period prior to Guardiola's arrival, Eto'o had been exhibiting a few non-compliant tendencies here and there, famously refusing to come off the bench and having a bit of a public feud with Ronaldinho and Frank Rijkaard, who was the coach at the time. And taking into consideration the strict manner that Guardiola often sets his teams up in, you can understand why this may have been a bit of a concern for him. In any case, Eto'o was determined to prove his worth and keep his spot at Barca, and no one can argue that this man did not put in an absolute shift. In the 2008-09 season, he achieved his best goal-scoring season to date, 30 goals and 4 assists in 36 La Liga matches. Sounds good, right? Surely he'd done enough to solidify his spot in Barcelona's future. Spoiler alert, he had not. Towards the back end of the season, Guardiola slowly began to push Messi into more central areas of the pitch. This of course meant that Eto'o was pushed more and more out wide. Eto'o did not like that. With 3 games left in the season, Barcelona had reached the Champions League final and were matched up with Manchester United. Naturally, Guardiola wanted his star men to be at 100% for that. For the sake of context, Barca had already won the league and the Copa del Rey at that point, and Messi and Xavi were amongst those that took some time off to be fresh for the final. However, Eto'o refused to be rested, as he was chasing the La Liga top scorer award alongside Diego Forlan. Guardiola did not like that. And even though Eto'o scored 36 goals in all competitions that year, scored in the Champions League final again, and helped Barca to an unprecedented treble, his Barcelona career was all but finished. Of course, there is probably more to Eto'o and Guardiola's fractured relationship, but realistically, we will never know the full context of what caused their breakdown in communication. All we can really go off of is the events that unfolded in front of our very eyes. Barcelona brought in Zlatan Ibrahimovic from Inter Milan shortly after the Champions League win for a reported fee of £57 million. Although this was not all cash, Barca paid roughly £39 million in cash and sent Eto'o to Inter to make up the difference. So basically, a man that scored 30 goals in La Liga one season prior and 108 goals in 144 La Liga matches overall was used as make-weight to sign a player that was not only the same age as him, but was less positionally versatile than him and achieved objectively inferior numbers the previous season. Did Samuel Eto'o deserve better? Comment your thoughts below. Now, don't get me wrong, Zlatan was and still is a magnificent player. This is not a slight on him, rather on Guardiola and Barcelona. But of course there are 2 sides to every story. Side note, if you want to check out this story from Ibra's perspective, check out this video. Moving along, now an Inter player having swapped Pep Guardiola for Jose Mourinho, Eto'o was enjoying life once more. Funnily enough, despite his aversion to being pushed out wide under Guardiola, he didn't mind doing so under Mourinho. In fact, not only did Eto'o play on both wings, he played as an attacking mid on occasion and even as a makeshift right wing-back once. As a matter of fact, the one time he played as a wing-back was against Barcelona in the Champions League semi-final after Thiago Motta was sent off for brutally assaulting Sergio Busquets. In any case, Inter went through to the finals and beat Bayern Munich by 2-0. Inter also won Serie A and the Coppa Italia that year. For the second time in as many years, Samuel Eto'o had won a major treble. To this day, he remains the only player to do so in back-to-back seasons for 2 different clubs. Legend. His personal numbers took a bit of a dip that year with 12 goals and 7 assists in the league, but his overall contribution to the team had arguably improved significantly. The very next season, Jose Mourinho couldn't resist the call to manage Real Madrid, and Inter failed to retain the Scudetto. Despite Eto'o notching up an insane 21 goals and 10 assists, they fell short to an Ibrahimovic-led AC Milan. As for Eto'o himself, the next season at 30 years of age, he was off. In the years that followed, his career began to enter its back end. After a few stints in the Russian, Qatari and Turkish top divisions, he was nearing closer and closer to retirement. In this period, he also made a trip to England to play for Chelsea, then Everton. However, the highlight of this entire period was surely the creation of the funny yet incredibly annoying old man celebration. Now, I'm personally a recovering FIFA Ultimate Team addict, and for some reason, this celebration annoyed me more than the dab, the big man, or any other of those shithousery celebrations. A great celebration though, nonetheless. Anyway, on the 7th of September 2019, Eto'o announced his official retirement from the game, hanging his boots up at 38 years of age. Did he have a bit of an attitude at times in his career? Probably. But realistically, which top footballers do not? As a matter of fact, who at the top of any industry does not? During his illustrious career, Eto'o achieved more than the vast majority of players could ever wish for. Based on individual numbers and achievements alone, it's incredibly difficult to say he isn't one of the greatest strikers to ever do it, and a very strong contender for the greatest African footballer to ever live. Anyway, there we have it. Where do you guys think Eto'o ranks when it comes to the greatest Barcelona strikers of all time and African footballers in general? Do you think he deserved better treatment in his career, or that he more or less got what he deserved? Feel free to leave all your thoughts in the comments below. That's all from me today. Truly hope you guys enjoyed that one. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.